top prospectors aren't afraid to pry. So the more information I can have, the better service provider I can be. And on top of that, the better way I can figure out how I can make it a now appointment if it's feasible at all. Prospect, prospect, prospect. People are so focused on the results that they don't think of what it took to get there. And for me, what helped me evolve as a prospector and someone who could handle an objection, it's not like I just had these any kind of natural sales skills. It was taking time and making note cards and learning objection handlers and then continuing to practice them, because I noticed when I get away from practicing them.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, it's Aaron Wittenstein. I'd like to welcome you to Vulcan7 Roadmap. This is where we interview agents across the country on how to take an additional lot of listings a month, okay? So speaking from experience here, we have our guest today, Daniel Harnsberger from Richmond, Virginia. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
You're welcome. So I get a message at 11:56 because we're scheduled to meet at noon, and he's like, "I'm running 5 minutes late," and I'm like, "Okay, so why were you running late?"
I was running late because I took a listing, and the business always comes first.
There we go. And I'm sitting here. He's like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "Did you get the listing?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I don't care. You can run 25 minutes late, and you're all good in my book." So tell me, this listing that you took, how did you get it?
I think the way a lot of good agents will get listings, it's very rare we call somebody and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to sell now. Come over." It was circle prospecting last year, and then constant follow up with that lead, or consistent follow up, I should say, and then getting a new appointment and getting pen to paper.
So how many times, let's just call them Joe and Sally, okay? How many times did you contact Joe and Sally between last year and today to be able to secure this listing?
Oh gosh, I would say at least 8. I mean, it was setting up the appointment, putting to the initial. I called it a consultation because he wasn't going to sell then, because it was the last quarter of the year, and he was smart enough to know the time in the market, and there was no objection handler I was going to use to convince him otherwise. He's a real analytical guy. So initial appointment, follow up to make sure he got the pre-listing package, that he reviewed it, see if there are any questions so you can flesh out any objections ahead of time. The appointment itself, and then every month giving a proactive market update with what's going on relevant to the market at that time. And I did that because he's an analytical guy, and he would eat up the numbers.
So what you're saying is follow-up is where it's at. Is that right?
I'd say that's 90% of prospecting as far as leading to getting you the result you're looking for.
So you go take 100 listings. Let's say you take 100 listings. Good year. It's been a good
Let's
year.
say that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been a good year. It's been a good year. Out of those 100 listings, what percentage of them would be what we call now business? Like I call it slam dunks. You come in and you boom, and lead follow up. What percentage would you say?
I would say that, gosh, I'd be remiss to say if I could give you a percentage. I'd just be pulling it out of my rear. But I would say the ones that are those are the ones through call via contact with your database, and then they refer you to somebody.
Sure.
And about 10% of your deal should be referrals from your database. So maybe 10%, the other 90 is lead follow up, being aggressive.
Oh, exactly. And like I said, it's because what do they say? Like, I can't remember, but it's like there's like a certain amount of contacts that you hit, and then everybody else just drops off the board, right? All the other competition.
So, oh yeah, without question, yeah. I mean that most agents, if they prospect at all, they make that initial call, and then that's it. They don't have any system of follow up. And if you do not do lead follow up, you're pissing your time through your hands.
I
So,
I I think
so
that
Gordon, I heard that expression from Gordon Ramsay. He was talking about money, but same thing because your
right.
time is valuable.
I think that just puts it perfectly right there. I like that analogy a lot, actually. So what does your follow like? Let's say, for example, you speak with me. Okay, I'm a lead. I say, you know what, Daniel, I'm going to be selling in 6 months from now is when I'm putting my house up on the market. What does that process look like to you? And
My first question would be, what's important about waiting 6 months?
we are have a job that we're retiring in 6 months.
You're retiring in 6 months. Let me ask you: Do you presently work from home, or do you have to go into the office?
Oh, I go into an office every day. I'm a school teacher.
Okay, and are you when you move? Where do you plan to go next? Are you looking to stay local or move outside or retire outside the area?
We're moving to Hawaii, actually.
Okay, okay, and well, that's quite a trip. Okay, so you were waiting 6 months. Okay, and you're retiring. And is that because you're retiring in 6 months, or are you retiring sooner than that?
No, 6 months is my last date is December 31st is my last day of work.
Okay, and then how soon after your last day of work are you looking to be in Hawaii?
I mean, in a perfect world, I mean, I would like to be there, really quick, if not like around December 30th, like right around that period of time, give or take a week.
Okay, so pretty much the day after you retire, it wouldn't pose a problem for you if you were set to move into your new home, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and let me ask you, do you know how long it takes to get a home sold in this market?
Oh, I mean, the market's strong. I would assume what, 30 days, something like that.
Well, it can from start to finish, meaning initial consultation to the time we get under contract, get you sold, and any period that you might be staying in the home after you close a rent back possession period. It can take anywhere from 1 month to 4 months. Okay,
Mm.
so wouldn't it make sense to get that process started sooner and later so we can get you top dollar for the home?
Um, I mean, I guess so. I mean, we do have someone, the agent that sold us our house that that we thought about maybe giving Sally Mae a call. But I don't know.
Okay, well, that agent must be good, or otherwise you wouldn't be considering Sally Mae. Now, if and this is a big if I can show you a plan to put more money in your pocket than Sally Mae, you wouldn't be opposed to hiring me, would you?
Oh, hiring. I think we're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves right now. But I mean, how would you put more money in our pocket?
Well, that's exactly why we need to meet, Aaron. Now we can meet tomorrow. Which time would work best for you and your family? Would Monday at 6 work better, or Tuesday at 4?
I mean, I'm not going to sign anything. I mean, that's not my intention. I won't be signing anything when you come over.
Well, certainly you're not going to sign anything until you're comfortable and ready. And here's the advantage of meeting now. The appointment's no obligation. They take about 15 minutes, and we can take a look at what you need to do to prep your home so we can get you top dollar for the home, meaning the highest the market will bear. So would Monday or Tuesday work better?
Swing by on Monday.
Okay, I'll see you Monday at 6.
See now, see what you did there is you turned a 6 month lead into a now lead. I'm talking to nobody, but if you guys pay attention to that, that was pretty impressive. That was a total like an unintentional role play that we just did right there. So just walk me through that process of what just happened.
I guess I just put myself as if that was a real situation. I heard Mike Ferry said Mike Ferry coached. One thing he said in a conference that really stuck with me is top prospectors aren't afraid to pry.
Mm.
So so the more information I can have, the better service provider I can be, and on top of that, the better way I can figure out, how I can make it a now appointment if it's feasible at all.
Yeah, because like I said, it was totally unintentional for us to do it that way. I said the right thing at the right time, and he made sense of it. Where it's like, all right, now let's say, for example, let's take this back to another scenario, okay? And because I know we want to talk about follow up, because a lot of people get lost in the follow up. Let's say I'm retiring in 6 months. Then after that, I don't want to move and I'm retiring. I want to get situated. I want to go find a house. I don't have to sell to buy. So like springtime is what I'm looking at.
I would ask again what's important about springtime. Also, you mentioned you're moving. We're just going over the scenario now. We're not role playing, I imagine. So I
Yeah.
would look at at that point, I would want to, and I'm an analytical person, so someone might totally disagree with this. I would look at I can't just assume that if you're moving to Hawaii, Hawaii's market peaks are the same as ours here in Central Virginia. So I'd want to look at that and then just apply that to their situation.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely highly analytical. I'm the opposite. I'm the driver personality. So
I don't know that they're so dry.
different
They're
in
a bit
different in
off.
the same. It's different in the same, right?
I default to driver in times of stress.
Right.
So, yeah. So not my best look, but I can identify. But I identify drivers. I think are the easiest to identify.
Yeah, that's because there's only 10%
As
of us and we're all crazy, right?
well, no, it's just they're no nonsense, no BS. They want the information. It's actually the easiest listing presentation because I can skip a good portion of it and say, hey, you've reviewed the packet. How far apart are we on price? And a lot of people say like, oh, you look at their personality style. It's kind of like manipulating them. No, it's giving people information the way they best appreciate it. And to me, that's just part of service is being proactive and giving someone what they want before they ask for it.
Exactly. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, okay, we're talking about the disc personality profile. Okay, D is a driver. Daniel, can you please explain what a driver is?
Uh, I, it's someone who wants information really quick,
Yeah.
no nonsense, no fluff.
And then an I is interpersonal. I call them the huggy feely people, right? And how do they want information?
I refer to them as amiable, but they they wanted it's not, you don't want to treat an amiable like a driver. I mean, an amiable, it's going to be a more emotion based decision.
Exactly.
So if I'm talking about, if I'm presenting to an amiable, I'm talking about who that next buyer is going to be for their home. Don't you want them to love the home the way you did? And
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the what I call the C's, which are the I can never think. It's the analytical people is basically what we have with that, right?
right, yeah. I mean, they want all the information so they can process, and they don't want to be rushed in a decision.
And then we have S, which is stable. Okay, and I always define them, and maybe you define them. I define them as everybody else. Is this the best way to put it?
Well, there's the expressives, which are, you know, they're 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 a tough bunch for me. They're for me as an analytical, so that's probably the one I need to be best at.
Oh yeah. So that's just a brief synopsis on what a disc personality profile is. By the way,
Yeah.
we started talking about it. Wanted
We're
to make sure.
explaining to the folks at home.
All you folks behind the camera, right there. All right. So you're a prospector is what it comes down to. And schedule wise, how many hours a day right now are you typically prospecting?
I have 5 blocked into my schedule.
5 hours a day.
Yes, 3 hours for cold leads, and then 2 hours for database calls and lead follow up.
So what hours are you typically prospecting?
8 to 11 and 12 to 2
Okay.
on most days. I had an appointment. She could meet today at 11, so I did a. I knew I had this interview at 12, so obviously my schedule's a little different today. But that's just life, and you're gonna work around it. But it's the whole business is prospecting. So it should be a part of your daily schedule, in my opinion. I'm just one dude with an opinion.
Oh, you have a very good opinion, and I appreciate your opinion. Okay, so how often, what percentage of the time would you say that you stick to the schedule?
I would say 75%. It's light. Get called by Vulcan7 to do an interview, you're going to do it. You just scrap your whole schedule. So, or you have a high dollar listing appointment. I mean, you'll make time for that. And don't get me wrong, I know agents are like, these are I do appointments at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. If you can't meet with me, I'm not, so too bad. And I don't roll like that.
No, I mean, it could, like I said, as long as you're hitting your schedule 70, 75, 80% of the time, I mean, it's called an almost perfect week for a reason because life still gets in the way and you still need to run a business. And as long as you're hitting it, that sounds like what you're doing. I mean, you're doing very well for yourself, right?
Yes. May I share something? I've just really had for the folks at home. I had this big epiphany. It's not like as a new epiphany, but it's just really emphasized this week. So, like, I have an assistant, but then it's like I can't put everything on one person. And there was a lot of stuff I was doing that was not production based. So added a virtual assistant team, and so I put all the training manuals together and the video training. So there's a lot of work up front, but now they're rolling, and it's great because it gives me a much better chance to stick to the production schedule. All this to say, I think this whole business is a constant bet on yourself. So just the act of becoming an agent, you're betting like, okay, I'm going to take this job and I have no guaranteed paycheck and I'm going to make money with it. That's the first thing. Then, you get, hey, I'm going to get Vulcan7 as my dialer. I bet the investment I make on that, I'm going to make more contacts, and get more listings as a result, and it's going to more than pay for itself. You make that bet. Then you add assistant or two assistants or whatever. You're saying I'm going to spend X on this or that. It's going to get me a good ROI. And to me, that's the business in a nutshell. Is it's just a constant bet on yourself, and what you put into it, you're going to get out of it more than that.
Exactly. And I mean, what you just explained, it's just, you're here, then you jump it up a notch. Then you
Right.
jump it up a notch. Then you jump it up a notch. And then there's no notches. It never really stops. You may
Correct.
regress a little bit, but that's normal. There's normal regression to it. But as long as you don't sit on the regression and you still bump that up, it's exactly what you explained. We're done. We don't need to talk anymore. You just put it all perfectly.
All
um,
right. Yeah.
no,
That's
we're,
the George Costanza Seinfeld. I'm out. I'm out. I'm leaving on a high note.
Oh man. So all right. So are you role playing regularly right now, or how does that look?
Yes, I do. I do role play at 7:30 every morning, and then then I added role play at 11:30 every day. I do an objection handler role play, where it's just objection handlers.
Okay. So this is what a lot of people, from what I hear, is you're role playing an hour a day. Okay, or 30 minutes, whatever that comes out to be. You're lead generating for 5 hours a day. Okay, and when are you doing everything? Are you putting in 100 hours a week? When are you doing everything else? Like, what does that look like?
I wouldn't say I'm putting in 100 hours a week. I mean, I have time blocked off for admin, and the issue I was running into was I was doing, like I'd take a new listing. Well, to me, I owe my client everything possible to market that listing. So I was doing the reverse prospecting, which was at time cutting into my prospecting for new leads time. Reverse prospecting to the folks at home is when you reach out to other agents, say, hey, you have a buyer whose criteria matches my listing. It's a tool offered by most MLSs. So I was doing that. I was creating the marketing, like and posting it on social media. I was doing so. It's like I wanted to take myself out of those things and do it, but well, because that was backing up to where some of my other critical admin was, was taking. longer than I should to respond to emails, and it just wasn't a good look. So I outsourced that part of my business. The hours I work are a lot, and of course, the busier I get. But I think when you love what you do, it doesn't. No, I know it sounds so cliche, but it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
So I enjoy it. I love the business, and I love consuming my time with it. And I think the only time it gets frustrating is when I'm not converting like I should, but that's on me. And I'll take that any day of the week versus working for somebody else and carrying out their agenda, for salary. No thanks.
Tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel.
Uh,
So let me ask you this. So you have a brand new agent walks across your office, knocks on your door, and says, "Daniel, I hear you're amazing. I hear you prospect 93 hours a day. What type of advice do you have for me?"
uh, if you're just starting,
Hmm.
my advice to anyone just starting, I've given it many times, is just make a list of everyone you know locally, wherever you are, who could either be a potential client or refer you business, and call every single one of them. Call them quarterly, but call them all as soon as you get that list together. And your first call can just be simple enough. Hey, my name's Daniel Harnsberger. I just started in real estate. Who do you know who's looking to buy or sell? And that can be your first database call. And then from there, branch out, because it's if you're not looking for, a coach said this once, is if you're not actively trying to find people and they're not trying to find you, how are you ever going to meet? Um,
Can you repeat?
and
Can you
that's
repeat that? Can you repeat that?
if you are not actively looking for new buyers and sellers and they're not trying to find you, then how are you ever going to meet?
It's about as true as it gets, right there. As far
So,
as
yeah, on the new agent theme, a newer guy who joined a brokerage a couple months ago. He made that phone call to me, just asked for some, advice for a new person. So I gave him that about the database, and he was asking about circle prospecting, as people call it. And he's like, I kind of find like it's, waste of time because I call these people and they don't, they're not looking to sell. I was like, well, what are you going to do with the rest of your day? Do you have a bunch of business now? No. Okay, so how are you going to get it? Why not call? Because there's got to be someone in a 5 mile radius of you who needs to sell or wants to sell. So why not make a conscious effort to find them?
100% agreed. All right, my friend, let's wrap this sucker up in a little bow here. All right.
Yes,
So,
sir, Mr. Driver. Okay.
this guy. No, but what are your final last words for Vulcan7 Nation, if you will?
Prospect. I just think you're here's my final words. Have you ever gone to an NBA game?
Hmm.
Okay, I love the NBA. It's, to me, the greatest pro sports league in the world. You go to a game and you watch these guys warm up. They are swishing every single shot. So why is that? Well, it's because they are constantly working and perfecting their game. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them. That's certainly how they got there. Now, when they get all that money, how they handle it differs. But and that's why you see guys in and out of the league. But professionals practice and professionals prospect. But with respect to the practice, think of that sports analogy, or think about your favorite musician. Slash on the guitar. He put a lot of time in, but people are so focused on the results that they don't think of what it took to get there. And for me, what helped me evolve as a prospector and someone who could handle an objection, it's not like I just had these any kind of natural sales skills. It was taking time and making note cards and learning objection handlers, and then continuing to practice them, because I noticed when I get away from practicing them, my answers become less crisp and less sharp. So professionals practice and professionals get paid.
There we go, baby. There we go. All right, my friend. Let's say someone is moving from Hawaii to Richmond, Virginia, and they're looking, ironically, for a real estate agent with the name Daniel. How do they get in touch with you, brother?
Oh, call me on my personal cell. It's 804-380-1190. I don't know my EXP handle, but you can Google me, Google my name and you'll find my Google business page. My contact information's there. Find me on Facebook, and then also just Daniel at DAH. That's Daniel Adam Harnsberger. Sells in the word INVA.com.
There we go. All right, my friend. I want to thank you very much for this. Everybody, keep in mind, every week, we get another agent from somewhere across the country, and we always ask you to remember to trust the process. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Daniel, thank you very much. This was great.
Thank
okay,
you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Bye bye.